All right, we're going to talk about crimping this morning for just a minute. I'm going to show you how I do it. It's very simple. It's good for guys with fat fingers. It's a lot easier than tying those knots. All right, so we're going to take I'm using 60 and 80 pound test line monofilament. So you put your crimp on, slide it down just a little bit. Got my swivels that I make right here. If you hadn't tried one, you should. They work really well. Put a chain swivel on so you don't have to add one in your line. Chain swivels work really well, keeping that roly catfish from rolling your lines up. Anyway, you put your crimp line through the crimp, through the swivel eye, back through the crimp. I always burn a little knot on the end of it. Just makes me feel better inside. I've never had one slip, but I know if it does, it's going to have a lot of trouble slipping, pulling that knot through there, right? That little knot gets you burn on there. Take your crimping pliers, get a good set of crimping pliers. You leave a little bit on the end. That way, when you crimp it down, it will be flared, so it won't rub on your monofilament. Said I've never had one fail, not one time. Been doing it for over a year now. Okay, and then it said this is the rig that I use a lot of times. If you've not ever tried a rig like this, you should, because it catches fish. You put your crimp on, slide it down, leave you a little line sticking out. Use a floater. I make these too. Got rattles on both ends. High quality foam, 210 pound fishing wire. Put that dude on, slide it through, burn the end. Let it dry just for a second. Cool off, pull that dude up there, hold it in place, get your crimping pliers, leave a little on the end. I push the pliers one handle against the table. That gives me a good solid crimp. All right, we got the bobber on here. So now we're going to put some hooks on here. I'm making these for my cousin. Actually, he's going to be fishing in Lake Dardanelle. He was over here this morning. Told me he wanted me to make him up some swivels. These work great. He fishes for eaters, so we're running. I put smaller hooks on these rigs. I'm putting smaller hooks on, so they're for eaters. I usually fish for monster fish and sometimes don't catch anything, right? But I'm fishing for monster fish most of the time. This rig works for both. I've been using it for years. It's what I bump with. Put your crimp in there, get it good and square. Mash. You leave a little bit on each end. Not sure if you can see that in the video. You can see it's flared out here on each end because I left a little bit of the crimp uncrimped, and it's flared out, so that won't, when that mono's pulled to the side, it won't cut it. I've never had one fail, so I've got to be doing it close to right. But yeah, this is the rig I use. 2 snelled hooks, little rattle on top, my float rattles, about a 25-inch leader, and then my little swivel. If you got any questions, feel free to message me. I can explain it more. Be glad to help. Thank y'all.